tuning in to the online broadcast network, AFTERBUZZ TV. Over 20 million weekly downloads in over 150 countries, and your number one source for after-show entertainment. AFTERBUZZ TV, the destination for TV superfans. Producing aftershows for over 300 of your favorite TV shows, interviewing celebrities and showrunners, and bringing you behind-the-scenes exclusives. All thanks to E! Entertainment's Maria Menounos, producer Kevin Undergaro, and internet leader Akamai. Now, let the buzz begin!
Yeah. Everything I need. Hello and welcome to AFTERBUZZ TV for America's Got Talent. We are your hosts. As always, I am Daniel Weiss, and please follow me on It's Daniel Weiss on Twitter. And with me, joining me, loving me in a strictly friendship and naughty way, Kevin John.
Definitely platonic way. And yes, I'm Kevin John. You can follow me on the number you see at the bottom of the screen. Not the number, because that would not my phone number, but my handles at Hey Kevin John, Twitter and Instagram. And thank you guys so much for tuning in. Me and Daniel Weiss here have a great show for you. A phenomenal show that
fantastical show.
Simply the best. Simply the best.
Speaking of phone numbers, do we have an AFTERBUZZ phone number that people can call in?
Absolutely. I think it's actually on the bottom as well, where it's underneath our names. So call in on that number.
Yes, if you're watching this live, please give us a call. If you're not watching this live, you're probably going to get another show. But talk to them about America's Got Talent anyway.
And real quick, I just want to say you probably see a couple of people here that we're missing. One of them is the lovable Cameron Penny, and unfortunately, he couldn't be here today due to circumstances unforeseen.
He's on an unmanned space mission.
Exactly. He may be gone for a while. You've seen Interstellar.
He's the unmanned.
Anyways, and also our lovely Kiori Takai, unfortunately, will not be able to join us for the duration of the season.
She is going on an undercover mission to Moscow. Oops, I probably shouldn't have said that.
You probably shouldn't have said that. CIA is going to be after you. Yeah, they definitely will. Oops. But she promised to bring us something back from Moscow.
She did, yeah. She said she's going to bring back a mule. Anyway, we got a show to talk to all of you about. And I gotta say, these finals just are not living up to prior years, I feel like. And not to go back, but let's speak just strictly about this. They're not as fun. They're gonna whittle down to the top 5, and I'm gonna want to see Piff, and that's it.
You know, this is my thing. This is the 10th anniversary season, right?
See.
And they were talking in the beginning, now this is going to be the big season. They're doing all kinds of crazy things.
Sí.
Talk about the biggest false advertisement and letdown I've ever seen.
Mucho, sí.
And I don't mean that in a very, malicious kind of attack, but I just mean that I don't really think that this talent has really lived up to the big O 10th season. We're going to knock your floors off with our talent here. And
I agree, and I wonder if it's because there's so many reality shows or so many niche things now and competitions that those are poaching all the other acts. Maybe they're just not getting as strong as talent. I don't know. Maybe the judges are just off about it. I'm not quite sure, but I do know it's just not as entertaining.
I 100% agree with you, Daniel. As you saw me watching it early beforehand, I was just really quickly scrolling through the acts, and some were good, and we'll talk about those. But more than I just feel that the talent is just really subpar.
I agree.
I mean, with the exceptions of a few great acts that bells out this season, not really that impressed.
I agree. Well, let's go right into it with the first act, Chapkis Dance Family. And I will say, normally with the dancers, if they aren't doing some sort of special effects or video or something, I say, okay, they're really good for dancers. But I will say that they stepped it up. Nice. I think that the Chapkis Dance Family actually did a really good job. They had some cool things that I enjoyed. And that's all I got to say about that.
Yeah, same thing. Obviously, it was talented what they were doing. First of all, there's so many of them, too. I think I counted 172.
375.
375.
No, wait, that was Gumballs.
At any rate, there was a lot of them out there. So, there's a lot of them out there. It brings an interesting dynamic because they fill out the whole stage. That's a big place if you're going to do an act it's good to have all of them, but and I did enjoy the theatric. There were some very dramatic theatrical type things that they incorporated into it, where they're like looked like they're reenacting certain scenes or I don't know characters, something like that sort. But I like the fact that they incorporated that into the dance. But overall, I mean, I'd say it was good. It wasn't great, but it was good.
But I will also say something that you brought up, and the judges talked about, which is there were too many of them.
Absolutely,
it did get to the point where I was like, "Oh, are they all precise? I can't tell because there's a million of them."
Thank you.
I can't tell if any of them are off because all I see is just a sea of people.
There could have been somebody out there, Daniel, that just stood like this the whole time.
He might have been. There's 3 people standing there in the middle, and we had no idea.
There were statues, and we had no idea.
But let's move on. Let's talk about Metal Militia Fitz Army. Kevin, what did you think?
You know, it's good. It's good at a dirt bike show. If I went to one of those off-road shows and they had the Evel Knievel's and stuff like that out there, because I mean, at the end of the day, that's not something that everybody can do. You know, that takes a level of talent in order to make those jumps and pull those off and things of that. But you know, like I said, it was good. It didn't wow me, but I don't know if it's best suited for a show in Vegas, you know, unless you can do an arena in Vegas and bring them in. And do which you can, of course. I'm sure off-road, those big monster truck rallies go through Vegas, but I don't know.
Right, I just thought that against everyone else, it was good. It was entertaining. It's, yes, like you said, talented. I can't do that. I tried, and now I'm dead.
You know how to do everything, Daniel.
Oh, I do know how to do everything. I just don't want to. I'm bored.
Like shave.
Or I don't know how to shave. My beard ate my last razor. It's becoming a problem, and I need help. But as far as other extreme sports acts that I've seen, I just didn't think they were on par. Honestly, there were a couple things when they jumped up and grabbed the bars of their handlebars, but other than that, it just was flipping over and over again.
Exactly.
And it got to the point where it was like, great, but I've seen it.
Like, what's next?
Right. So I wasn't that impressed. Speaking of not impressed, let's move on to Daditude.
Oh, man.
It's the same thing that I said earlier in the semifinals about the big dancers, big girls group.
Oh, yeah.
It's just flopping around. Like, it was just some older guys kind of dancing, and it'd be fun for a bar mitzvah to embarrass your children, but I don't think they're a good dance group. They're just a bunch of old guys that like to go out and dance.
You know, it reminds me
of... Not old, but, you know...
Older than the average dancer.
Yes.
Yeah.
See,
you know,
why am I speaking German tonight?
Because you speak a different language every day of the week. But anyways, tonight is German. Ich spreche Akshvu.
So feins. I know that from Cool Running.
At least Heidi will understand what you're saying. All right, so, you know, when it comes to Daditude, you know what it reminds me of, Daniel?
Yes.
Have any of you guys at home too seen those viral wedding videos where those groomsmen all get together and they do like a kind of silly kind of dance, whether it's like Backstreet Boys or anything, Jackson 5, they just do a dance all together. And it's kind of, I mean, it's funny to look at because they're not real dancers. They're just kind of mimicking or trying to do it. And that's what, when I watch these dads, that's kind of what I got in my head. You know, these men, they're at a wedding and they're all groomsmen and they're coming out doing a little dance, or it's, you know, a little fun, kind of silly thing, but it's nothing to take serious as like a real dancer.
And I'll give it up to them for getting this far and for just getting out there and doing it. But I feel like they can't be that disappointed that they're not going on, and especially when you get to the other acts. Yeah. It's just like, and they all seemed really disappointed. They got 4 X's, which I'm not sure has happened on a finals performance.
Because typically when you get to the finals, you're supposed to be great, so you shouldn't have an X. But
and they came in last minute. I think they got a second chance. So that's...
Let me ask you this.
Yes.
Do you feel that performance warranted 4 X's?
At this stage, yes. Because they should be on par, and I don't feel they were even doing their best. Like the judges said, it felt like they were like, oh, they want us back? All right, let's just do whatever. Yeah. It didn't feel like they gave it their best. I saw other performances they did where their hearts felt more into it. Yeah. So, yes, at this stage, when you've beat out people that also wanted to be there that badly, that got to the semifinals, yes. Okay. Absolutely. So, let's move on to Alicia Michella.
She was good.
She was good. She was very good. She stepped up. She did a great song. She was great.
She was outstanding. You know, she kind of reminds me of Adele a little bit, the way she sings. And I'm sure she's probably drew comparisons to Adele. Just a very strong voice. She has great control over her voice as well. And it's such a pleasure to listen to. It's really a pleasure to listen to. I like the girl. I think, well, with the talent that's left in here, she can easily be a top 6, you know. So
I can see that, honestly. I agree with you. I think that, again, as I always say, as a singer, she's great.
yeah,
That's it.
she's great. Great singer.
Great.
I want to see her rap next time.
Yes. Come out and do some Slim Shady.
Yep. Please stand up. Please stand up.
All right. Let's move on to Gary Vider.
Yeah, speaking of stand up.
Now, last season, you may have been around for some of my rants about comedians, specifically a female comedian last season that I just went off on.
Bring it out, Daniel. Bring it out.
Here's the thing.
What's the thing?
I don't think Gary Vider is terrible. I don't think he has great material. I don't think he put his best stuff forward, and I'm very disappointed by the comedians this year. I think that they are all taking a step backwards on each performance. And I just think that his jokes weren't that great and not nearly warranting the uproar and applause that he got from the audience. I don't understand it. He did a couple jokes where it's just like, if the punchline was tweaked, that'd be better. And he hurt his own joke. And maybe not everyone in the audience caught it. But he had a joke where he said, women can tell within the first hour, and very specifically, he said within the first minute if they want to sleep with you. I met a girl, and she immediately said, "I'm not sleeping with you." I still have 59 seconds left.
57 seconds.
That's within the minute.
Yeah.
He said he didn't say after a minute.
At the end of the minute,
In a minute. At the end of a minute, she'll know. He said within a minute.
Yeah.
There goes your joke.
Daniel,
I'm sorry.
I feel you. I appreciate what you're saying because I agree with you, but you got to realize it's a joke. Jokes are not meant to be analyzed and freaking dissected.
I'm sorry. I believe that's what we're doing
to make
here.
sure that they make literal sense. Okay.
No, but if you're gonna have a joke, have a punchline. That didn't have a punchline.
Yeah, like I said, I totally agree. I don't think it was that funny, but I think that's Professor Weiss coming at you saying, "Well, if his joke was a 59." Yeah, that's Professor Weiss that's being so critical and meticulous on his joke.
I'm just saying it's not a joke.
Yeah,
is what I was saying. Unfortunately, I just think it was a poor choice in words.
I agree with you. I mean, you know, at the end of the day, this is one of those performances where I felt like the production had the audience clap now sign out there, and it said standing ovation clap, because I did not understand any of the laughter or the thunderous applause that he got on some of those jokes. I was like, are they saying something I'm not? Is Heidi off camera maybe flashing them? Why are they so excited? You know,
I agree.
So, you know, and it's hard for me to bash comedians because, you know, I come from a comedic background, and I know it's a very difficult art to hone and perfect. So I have a lot of respect for comedians, but I know
a lot of people don't realize this, but Kevin has been making women laugh since he first took his clothes off.
Exactly. You know, and Kevin is still making women laugh when he takes his clothes off. So I stay consistent.
Yeah,
that's the thing. I'm consistent with it.
And you know what? I want you all of our fans that watch week to week, I'd like you all to commend Kevin. He didn't retort with a joke about my sister or my wife.
You know, Daniel, I'm learning
on it
more and more and more. The more I like you, because it's the other thing. Before I didn't really like you that much.
Right? No, I get it. I'm a terrible person.
Well,
you shouldn't like me.
Terrible is an understatement. But you know, the more I'm getting to know you, I really like you, and I respect your family. I respect your wife.
What?
You know, I love you. All right, let's move on.
Let's move on to the Mountain Faith Band. Bluegrass band. I'll say this: I watched them, and then I watched it again. I liked it a lot better the second time. I think that I just wasn't maybe necessarily giving it a fair chance. It was good. I like if I'm going to listen to bluegrass, I like it to be actual like bluegrass folky songs. So them doing contemporary songs in a bluegrass form isn't necessarily my thing, but they were good, and the band is on it. I think the band is very good. She's a good singer, but I think the band itself is very good.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. You know, and this is the thing. The thing I like about this band is they put on a show. All right, and that's the thing with singers. Sometimes you just go up and sing. You got to realize you are a performer on stage. And I truly think that this band captured the essence of performance. I think this would have been a great live show. Like, if I was there, like, man, they're awesome live. But the thing is, I think you made a very good point, Daniel. The girl that was singing, she wasn't horrible, but she was just average. So if she was just up there singing by herself with no band, I'd be like, okay, it's okay. But the fact, and also, before I forget, this is also why you want to sing tunes or songs that the fans are familiar with or viewers are familiar with. Because I love that song, Shut Up and Dance. And I think they did a great rendition of it as well. And when you sing songs that fans are familiar with, that gives them a lot more into the song. Because if they sang an original piece that maybe no one knew, not to say they wouldn't have went through, but it may not have been as exciting. But they did a great rendition of it. And when they stepped through and did that instrumental part where they're like,
That's exactly how it sounded.
Shut up, dance with me. But anyways, when they did that instrumental, I was like, dude, this is dope. This is dope. And you know, this is dope. And I'm a black dude that was raised on West Coast hip hop. So if I'm sitting here saying this is dope to some bluegrass, banjo playing, hippity skippity, it's dope. It's validated.
And I'm a white guy who grew up. So let's move on. Oz Pearlman, the Mentalist. Kevin.
Oh man, yeah, this is
It's
tough.
painful.
This is tough.
It really is painful in a good way.
It's tough because there's a part of me that wants to say, this guy is so immaculate, so unparalleled, so ridiculously good that he does this outrageous stunt. Or not even a stunt, but trick, to where he just not only guesses everybody, pulls a receipt out and everything. And then there's another part of me that's like, you know, with production, behind the scenes, things are fixed. I've heard stories from American Idol and things of that sort. And I know they're both produced by the same company, I think. But anyways, I'm not sitting here trying to crap on them and maybe doing something deceptive behind the viewers' backs. But the other part of me wants to think that, okay, maybe the judges were in on this trick. Even the fact that Howard and Mel B, out of all the numbers between 100 and 1,000, they're going to guess the same exact number. Now, Professor Weiss, I know that you taught statistics and calculus.
Yes,
the percentage of that happening.
The percentage of that is 1 in 1,000. If you take it down from the 100, it's 1 in 9.
Exactly.
1 in 900, but I have to say this to you, Calvin. The only way that I can attest to what he might be doing, as I said before, when he thought of Oprah, and I also thought of Oprah. Perhaps he has to say, not to oversay, but to say that he has perfected getting you to think what he wants you to think somehow, some sort of trickery and illusion. So that he did get Howard and Mel B to think of the same number.
Please stop.
Okay. Had to go through and make Howard think of the one he wanted to originally. That's the only way that the only two ways that I can think of. Maybe he just perfected getting people to think of what he wants them to think, which, great on you for being able to do that. Or all 4 judges are in on it, and I just feel like that has to have some sort of legality, because then it's just a sketch.
Oh, so I'm sorry. Judges or some of these shows have never fixed things behind the closed doors before. That's never happened in the history. I don't know, man. This is my thing. If you really have the power to do that, Daniel, what he did, you can do anything you want in life. You can interview for any job, get any job you want. You can, if you have that kind of skill, you understand, there's nothing in this world you cannot do. It's just
correct.
So I don't know. I think that the talent is just so astronomical.
Bottom line, we don't know how he did it, and it was great. He can work on his entertainment skills a little bit
agree.
To have a little bit more in between.
He bombed a few jokes too.
Yes, I agree. He was trying. I feel like he could
with
work
the Heidi
on
thing.
his
He was
jokes
trying really hard,
but his skill itself was fantastic. If he's going to make it into a show, I think he has to work on his stage performance. But let's move on to Selected of God choir. I'm not a big fan. I'll be honest. I don't think their soloists are that strong. Together, they're very good, but it's a choir when they're all together. But I just don't think their soloists would last on their own. And when you're going to get this far, they need to be able to.
I agree. You know, it's funny because I didn't really pay attention to the soloists that much. I was so involved and so just invested in listening to the harmony. And I loved the harmony the choir was doing. There's some parts where they're like, whoo, whoo, yee. And like they did these incredible harmonical type stuff. You know, actually harmonica is an instrument, but this harmonizing.
Yeah, what you just said is not a word.
Yeah, I just made that up. But they did this this incredible harmonizing with one another. That was just, and I was so fixated on that. I kind of wasn't paying attention to the soloists, so I can't really give a fair assessment on it. But then again, if the soloists were that great, I guarantee you, I would have been listening to them over the choir. So I think that kind of validates what you were talking about. So.
I agree.
Yep.
Let's move on to.
But at least they are selected by God. They know their purpose.
They are. I guess.
Amen.
And their purpose is to be on a televised talent show. Let's move on to one of my 2 acts of the night: the professional regurgitator. Yes. Because here's the thing. Again, with same thing as Oz. I don't know how he could possibly do it. I don't. Maybe it's some sort of magic trick, or maybe he really has taught himself to be able to move things around in his stomach. I don't understand it, and I want to keep watching it. And he is a great entertainer. He's fun to watch. He's playful. He has a great energy about him. He's very charismatic. I like him. I honestly think that he can go to the top 3 because he's just going to keep coming up with things. And how does he put a lock in his mouth and a ring and a key and lock the lock to the ring? And you see it going into his mouth. So unless he has some sort of like compartment in his mouth and he's doing it all with his tongue, but I don't even think that because he's talking while he's doing that. So I don't know, but it's amazing.
Yeah, I mean, it just makes you, it's one of those you just look at afterwards. You can even see what I wrote down there. I just put, wow. Like, I don't even know how to explain or even fairly assess that performance. I mean, it was something that was so mind-boggling how he was able to do that, especially because it's hard enough to do how small the lock and key is. How can you get your abdomen or stomach or all that other stuff?
What do you have to hold?
What do you have to hold? Because you need fingers and stuff like that in order to do it, unless you can move your muscles or, you know. I
would love to see an X-ray of him doing it.
That would be incredible. And then once I see that, then maybe that'll be the thing I need to believe that he's actually doing that.
No, but then I feel like it would ruin it because then you just see, oh, he really is doing it with his stomach. And as crazy as that is, it'd be like, oh, now I get a clear idea of what he's doing.
I agree.
But still.
Yeah, and I was going to say, above all, the thing that I really like about this particular one is it is 100% original.
Yes.
Everything that we see up here has been done before. Singing, dancing, stand-up comedy, ventriloquism.
Magic Dragons.
Everything we've seen, this is 100% original. Never seen it before on TV, as far as I know. So I think of anything more than anyone else on America's Got Talent, he has the original aspect. It's a unique gift. And, you know, I probably would not be upset if he won the whole thing.
I would not at all. I absolutely could.
would not be upset.
I'd be okay with that.
Yeah.
Well, let's move on to Benjamin Yonathan, the blind dancer. What did you think?
Okay. This is the thing. I'm going to try to be as respectful as I can given his condition. This is, you know, the thing is this. If I'm just grading him specifically on his talent of dancing, I would say he's pretty average. If I'm just strictly looking at dancing and grading him on dancing, I would say he's an average good dancer. Average good dancer. And I would just leave it at that. The thing that makes him phenomenal is the fact that he's blind and he's able to overcome this detriment to him in order to be able to not just to dance, but to know his steps and to be able to see everything in his head and visualize it without looking down, which is a gift. And I think that's, I'd say this, Ben is not the most talented on the show, but he is by far the biggest inspiration on the show.
I could see that. I could agree with that. I think he is really talented in his own way. Because again, it's basically if you took a dancer and blindfolded them and have them do their entire act blindfolded, can they do it? I don't know. I'm not a dancer. I've never done it before. Get me some dancing rats and we'll do an experiment.
I don't know if I want to see dance.
I didn't say me. I said some rats. I think that, again, I agree with you. If he wasn't blind, he's an average dancer. But also, let's look at the fact that he's 14. That's pretty great, too. But I try to put age aside. But the fact that he is blind and he was staying within the little house that they built and was dancing and getting all his moves and didn't fall or anything, which was great. Mm-hmm. I thought he was great. But that's it. Mm-hmm. Let's move on to Daniela Weiss. I think she's a great singer. That's it. Let's take backstory and everything aside. She's a great singer. Is she the most charismatic? Maybe not. I think that she would have to work on that a bit, but I've seen some singers that are big that are also not that charismatic. So you gotta give it to that. Kevron.
She's a great singer. You know, she's a great singer. It's opera, and opera's probably one of the most hardest genres to sing because it's literally just all inflection, voice, and being able to. You have to have a strong voice to do opera. You can't underdo it. You got to have a strong voice. So, I'm giving her credit. I think she's a great singer. I mean, I'm not particularly like amazed or like on the floor like wow, but she's a great darn singer.
I agree. Well, let's move on to the last act that we have of this night, and that's Freelusion. And I gotta say, this is my second top act of the night. I really like them. I enjoy watching them. Mm-hmm. They're not the most incredible dancers if you just want to go on dance, but dancing along with the video and the whole stage projection, I thought was really cool, and they did something that was interesting, which was one of the guys, the third of their group, who's always done like extra parts and helped out, he was going to do a rig and be suspended in the air, and it just didn't work out. So last minute they said, all right, we're just going to cut it and go, and you guys go. So to be able to pull that off, minus one person that they practiced with, and I wouldn't have noticed it. If they never said that, I wouldn't have been like, oh, there's supposed to be something there, or something. I thought it was really entertaining and beautiful. You're beautiful. It's true.
I have no idea whether that was a Muppet character.
Don't worry about it. Move on.
If that was Eeyore, if that was, or just some weird pedophile dude. All right. So, anyways, the thing that I really liked about this was not necessarily the dance. The dance was good, but the story that they told in it. We sit here and watch people dance, die, and then go to heaven, literally right in front of our eyes. And I was just taken away. It was a beautiful story, eloquently showed through dance, and it almost looked like it worked good with just the two of them. Like,
I agree.
I would have liked to see how the third guy would have fit into this, or this particular act. But yeah, it was great. It was great.
I agree. I definitely like them. Definitely want to see more of them.
Oh, yeah.
So let's move on to the second show this week, the results show. We start off by saying that there's three people on the bubble. We have Daniela Weiss, we have Benjamin Yonathan, and we have Greg Vider. Greg, is that his name?
Greg Vider.
Vider. Thank you. And so the audience votes on which one of them is going to move on, and then the judges vote on one of them. So the audience voted Greg Vider, which, again, I don't understand it, but hey, that's America out there voting for him. Not the audience, it's America voting for him. And so great, he moves on. And then it came down to Benjamin Yonathan and Daniela Moss, and the judges voted on them. And what was weird to me is they seemed really easy to say Daniela. 3 of them said Daniela. She went through. So Benjamin's gone. Benjamin was really good. Daniela was really good. What do you think about the decision that the judges made?
I think
Daniela over Benjamin.
Daniela over Benjamin. This is the thing. I think if you're just grading it as far as talent, I do think Daniela is more talented than Ben.
Okay.
And I'm just going to say that. I think it is. I think Ben's story is obviously a lot more inspiring, captivating, and I honestly think that Ben would probably... I don't know. It's kind of a contradiction because I was going to say if Ben went to the finals, I think he would probably get a lot of votes more so, but clearly he didn't get enough to get past this. Maybe not, yeah. But if I'm just grading it on talent, I do think Daniela has more than him.
Okay. Hey, there you go. So let's go on to the people that did go through after that, or alongside that. We have the Mountain Faith Band went through, and here's my thought about it. I don't think they are necessarily the best ones. I don't know if I would have voted them through, but looking back at all of the other acts, I could see them going through as the bot. Like they'd be my last pick to go through, and they went through.
Yeah. You know, they did go through, and I think they just had a very strong performance. And I think at the end of the day, that's really what's going to resonate. And they sung a song. I think "Shut Up and Dance" was actually #1 in the country.
Okay.
So they sung a song that's a favorite. And the risk that comes with singing a favorite song is that like you can't butcher it or screw it up because it's kind of like hybrid.
Hey, I love that song.
Exactly.
You screwed up my favorite song.
But the fact that they owned it, did the rendition, I think that just really resonated with America. So
well, then let's move on. Next up, Alicia Michella went on. Great. She's great. Glad she went on.
Yeah. She's a great singer. I have no problem with that.
Next is we had Oz Pearlman and the Regurgitator going up against each other. Which one of them is going to move on? Nick pulls out. Both of you are moving on. Which made me happy because I was like, how are they going to go between the two of them? And then I was like, oh, they're both going to go on. And then he said, you're both going to go on. Fantastic. Yes, they were both great and definitely deserving of going on.
Absolutely.
Then we have Freelusion. Again, yes, absolutely. Freelusion should be going on, and they are.
Yeah, they did awesome.
So that's who we have. Now we are down to the finals. We'll see who gets hatcheted off and who keeps going. Let's move on to what our predictions from tonight are, Kevin. Shall we?
I think so. Let's do it, Professor Weiss.
Now, your AFTERBUZZ TV predictions.
Professor Weiss is not here. Steven showed him the door.
Oh, that's unfortunate.
My prediction, though, is that Professor Weiss will be coming back in weeks to come. I think that Freelusion and the Regurgitator are going to go on from the next round. Absolutely. Anyone else from tonight? I'm not sure. Maybe Alicia, maybe Oz, depending on if they can step it up enough. But that's definitely... And here's the thing. Why I think I realized that I get down on musical acts so much, which is with singers, with certain people, singers and dancers, when you have to keep going and keep going and keep going, there's only so much, and comedians, there's only so much more you can do. You can continue to do as well, whereas the Regurgitator can come up with some other crazy thing to swallow or do, and Oz can come up with some crazy mental thing that you never saw coming. So I think that the singers and comedians and dancers have a much harder time with that, whereas Freelusion can come up with a much bigger stage set and a whole thing. But I definitely think Freelusion and Regurgitator will be going on from the next round. What are your predictions?
My predictions are this. The Regurgitator, absolutely. He can... I'm going to regurgitate that vote continuously because he's a phenomenal guy. And then also... the other one that I was going to say from this one that I can see also going on is Let's see here. I can see
Clearly
Alicia.
now the rain
Is gone. And shut up. All right. I can also see Alicia, Michella going on. So Alicia, Regurgitator, definitely going on. And then if I had to pick one more, Freelusion.
Free Willy!
See, you were singing that "Will You Be There" song,
like a
which
river,
is the Free Willy
Jordan.
song.
And I would then say to thee that you are my friend.
So, anyways, yeah, before the show, Daniel was singing that song. That's why I just said Free Willy instead of Freelusion. But anyways, that made me want to go adopt a killer whale after seeing that.
Oh, that's a great idea. Guys, thank you so much for tuning in again with us. We love so much that you keep coming back. Please check us out on iTunes, AfterBuzz. Subscribe to us. Check out other AfterBuzz TV shows. If you like watching a TV show, chances are someone on AfterBuzz covers that. So please check it out. Check us out on YouTube. If you liked anything tonight, if you hated it, if you think that we're offensive, if you think my beard is going to kill me, let us know on the comments and we will maybe address it. We'll try to. There's no guarantees, but check us out on iTunes, on YouTube, and also in the meantime, Kevin, where can we check you out?
You can check me out on Instagram and Twitter at HeyKevinJohn, or you can also check me out on my website, www.itskevinjohn.com. You can also see me around AfterBuzz Studio doing other shows, or see me alongside Daniel doing comedy sketch tours around the U.S. Coming to a city near you.
We will be coming to your city as long as that city is Los Angeles. Now, you can find me, Daniel Weiss, at It's Daniel Weiss on the Twitter. Also, please follow my Facebook group, my improv group on Facebook, Doctor Who Live LA. If you're in LA, check out some Doctor Who improv. Or if you're not in LA, you can check us out on Giggity and watch our shows on there for a very tiny fee. Guys, thank you so much. Thank you to Steven in the booth. Woo!
Steven.
Please join us next week for an all-new AfterBuzz TV, America's Got Talent. Thank you so much. We like you.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.